Dandavat Pranam. Namaste. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnu Pad, Srila Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 16, How Parīkṣit Received the Age of Kali. Text 1. Sutta Uvacha Tata Parīkṣit Vija Varya Sikshaya Mahim Maha Bhagavata Sashaha Yatahi Sutyam Abhijata Kovidha Samadhishan Vipra Mahad Gunastata. Sutta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas, Maharaj Parīkṣit then began to rule over the world as a great devotee of the Lord under the instructions of the best of the twice-born Brahmanas. He ruled by those great qualities which were foretold by expert astrologers at the time of his birth. Purport. At the time of Maharaj Parīkṣit's birth, the expert astrologer Brahmanas foretold some of his qualities. Maharaj Parīkṣit developed all those qualities, being a great devotee of the Lord. The real qualification is to become a devotee of the Lord, and gradually all the good qualities worthy of possession develop. Maharaj Parīkṣit was a Mahabhagavat, or a first-class devotee, who was not only well-versed in the science of devotion, but also able to convert others to become devotees by his transcendental instructions. Maharaj Parīkṣit was therefore a devotee of the first order, and thus he used to consult great sages and learned Brahmanas, who could advise him by the Shastras how to execute the state administration. Such great kings were more responsible than modern elected executive heads because they obliged the great authorities by following their instructions left in Vedic literatures. There was no need for impractical fools to enact daily a new legislative bill and to conveniently alter it again and again to serve some purpose. The rules and regulations were already set forth by great sages like Manu, Yajnavalkya, Parasara, and other liberated sages, and the enactments were all suitable for all ages in all places. Therefore, the rules and regulations were standard and without flaw or defect. Kings like Maharaj Parīkṣit had their council of advisors, and all the members of that council were either great sages or Brahmanas of the first order. They did not accept any salary, nor had they any necessity for such salaries. The state would get the best advice without expenditure. They were themselves samadarshi, equal to everyone, both man and animal. They would not advise the king to give protection to man and instruct him to kill the poor animals. Such council members were not fools or representatives to compose a fool's paradise. They were all self-realized souls, and they knew perfectly well how all living beings in the state would be happy, both in this life and in the next. They were not concerned with the hedonistic philosophy of eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy. They were philosophers in the real sense, and they knew well what is the mission of human life. Under all these obligations, the advisory council of the king scrutinizingly followed them for the welfare of the state. Under all these obligations, the advisory council of the king would give correct directions, and the king or executive head, being himself a qualified devotee of the Lord, would scrutinizingly follow them for the welfare of the state. The state in the days of Maharaj Yudhisthira and Maharaj Parīkṣit was a welfare state in the real sense of the term, because no one was unhappy in that state, be he man or animal. Maharaj Parīkṣit was an ideal king for a welfare state of the world. Text 2. Sautarasya tanayam upayema iravatim janame jayadims chaturs tasyam utpadayat sutan. King Parīkṣit married the daughter of King Uttara and begot 4 sons, headed by Maharaj Janamejai. Purport. Maharaj Uttara was the son of Virata and maternal uncle of King Parīkṣit. Iravati, being the daughter of Maharaj Uttara, was the cousin sister of Maharaj Parīkṣit, but cousin brothers and sisters were allowed to get married if they did not belong to the same gotra or family. In the Vedic system of marriage, the importance of the gotra or family was stressed. Arjuna also married Subhadra, although she was his maternal cousin sister. Janamejai, one of the Rajarshi kings and the famous son of Maharaj Parīkṣit. His mother's name was Iravati, or according to some, Madravati. Maharaj Janamejai begot 2 sons of the names Jatinika and Sanukukarna. He celebrated several sacrifices in the Kuruksetra pilgrimage site, and he had 3 younger brothers named Shrutasena, Ugrasena, and Bhimasena II. He invaded Takshashila, Ajanta, and he decided to avenge the unlawful curse upon his great father, Maharaj Parīkṣit. He performed a great sacrifice called Sarpa Yagya to kill the race of serpents, including the Takshaka, which had bitten his father to death. On request from many influential demigods and sages, he had to change his decision to kill the race of snakes, but despite stopping the sacrifice, he satisfied everyone concerned in the sacrifice by rewarding them properly. In the ceremony, Mahamuni Vyasadeva also was present, and he personally narrated the history of the Battle of Kuruksetra before the king. Later on, by the order of Vyasadeva, his disciple Vaishampayana narrated before the king the subject matter of Mahabharata. He was much affected by his great father's untimely death and was very anxious to see him again, and he expressed his desire before the great sage Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva also fulfilled his desire. His father was present before him, and he worshipped both his father and Vyasadeva with great respect and pomp. Being fully satisfied, he most munificently gave charity to the brahmanas present at the sacrifice. Text 3. Ajaharshashva midham strin gangayam bhuri dakshinan saradvatam gurum kritva devaya trakshi gochara. Maharaj Parīkṣit, after having selected Kripacharya for guidance as his spiritual master, performed 3 horse sacrifices on the banks of the Ganges. These were executed with sufficient rewards for the attendants, and at these sacrifices, even the common man could see demigods. Purport. It appears from this verse that interplanetary travel by the denizens of higher planets is easy. In many statements in Bhagavatam, we have observed that the demigods from heaven used to visit this earth to attend sacrifices performed by influential kings and emperors. Herein also we find that during the time of the horse sacrifice ceremony of Maharaj Parīkṣit, the demigods from other planets were visible even to the common man. Due to the sacrificial ceremony, the demigods are generally not visible to common men, as the Lord is not visible. But as the Lord, by his causeless mercy, descends to be visible to the common man, similarly the demigods also become visible to the common man by their own grace. Although celestial beings are not visible to the naked eyes of the inhabitants of this earth, it was due to the influence of Maharaj Parīkṣit that the demigods also agreed to be visible. The kings used to spend lavishly during such sacrifices as a cloud distributes rains. A cloud is nothing but another form of water, or in other words, the waters of the earth transform into clouds. Similarly, the charity made by the kings in such sacrifices was but another form of the taxes collected from the citizens. But as the rains fall down very lavishly and appear to be more than necessary, the charity made by such kings also seems to be more than what the citizens need. Satisfied citizens will never organize agitation against the king, and thus there was no need in changing the monarchical state. Even for the king, like Maharaj Parīkṣit, there was need of spiritual master for guidance. Without such guidance, one cannot make progress in spiritual life. The spiritual master must be bona fide, and one who wants to have self-realization must approach and take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master to achieve real success. Text 4. Nijagrahau jasabhira kalim digvajaye kvachit nripalinga darham sudram gantam gomitunam pada. Once when Maharaj Parīkṣit was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, who was lower than a Sudra, disguised as a king and herding the legs of a cow and bull. The king at once caught hold of him to deal sufficient punishment. Purport. The purpose of a king's going out to conquer the world is not for self-aggrandizement. Maharaj Parīkṣit went out to conquer the world after his ascendance to the throne, but this was not for the purpose of aggression on other states. He was the emperor of the world, and all small states were already under his regime. His purpose in going out was to see how things were going on in terms of the godly state. The king, being the representative of the Lord, has to execute the will of the Lord duly. There is no question of self-aggrandizement. Thus, as soon as Maharaj Parīkṣit saw that a lower-class man in the dress of a king was herding the legs of a cow and bull, at once he arrested and punished him. The king cannot tolerate insults to the most important animal, the cow, nor can he tolerate disrespect for the most important man, the Brahmana. Human civilization means to advance the cause of Brahminical culture, and to maintain it, cow protection is essential. There is a miracle in milk, for it contains all the necessary vitamins to sustain human physiological conditions for higher achievements. Brahminical culture can advance only when man is educated to develop the quality of goodness, and for this there is prime necessity of food prepared with milk, fruits, and grains. Maharaj Parīkṣit was astonished to see that a black Sudra, dressed like a ruler, was mistreating a cow, the most important animal in human society. The age of Kali means mismanagement and quarrel, and the root cause of all mismanagement and quarrel is that worthless men with the modes of lower-class men, who have no higher ambition in life, come to the helm of the state management. Such men at the post of a king are sure to first hurt the cow and Brahminical culture, thereby pushing the society towards hell. Maharaj Parīkṣit, trained as he was, got the scent of this root cause of quarrel in the world. Thus he wanted to stop it in the very beginning. Text 5. Saunaka uvacha kasya hetor nijagraha kalim digvijaye nripa nradeva chinna driksudra koso gamya padahanat tatkatyatam mahabhaga yadi Krishna katashrayam. Translation. Saunaka Rishi inquired, why did Maharaj Parīkṣit simply punish him, since he was the lowest of the Sudras, having dressed as a king and having struck a cow on the leg? Please describe all these incidents if they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna. Purport. Saunaka and the rishis were astonished to hear that the pious Maharaj Parīkṣit simply punished the culprit and did not kill him. This suggests that a pious king like Maharaj Parīkṣit should have at once killed an offender who wanted to cheat the public by dressing like a king, and at the same time daring to insult the purest of the animals, a cow. The rishis in those days, however, could not even imagine that in the advanced days of the age of Kali, the lowest of the Sudras will be elected as administrators and will open organized slaughterhouses for killing cows. Anyway, although hearing about a Sudraka who was a cheat and insulter of a cow was not very interesting to the great rishis, they nevertheless wanted to hear about it to see if the event had any connection with Lord Krishna. They were simply interested in the topics of Lord Krishna, for anything that is dovetailed with the narration of Krishna is worth hearing. There are many topics in the Bhagavatam about sociology, politics, economics, cultural affairs, etc., but all of them are in relation with Krishna, and therefore all of them are worth hearing. Krishna is the purifying ingredient in all matters, regardless of what they are. In the mundane world, everything is impure due to its being a product of the three mundane qualities. The purifying agent, however, is Krishna. Text 6. Athavasya padamboja makaranandalitam satam kim anyar asad alapar ayusho yada sadvyaya. The devotees of the Lord are accustomed to licking up the honey available from the lotus feet of the Lord. What is the use of topics which simply waste one's valuable life? Purport. Lord Krishna and his devotees are both on the transcendental plane. Therefore, the topics of Lord Krishna and of his pure devotees are equally good. The battle of Kurukshetra is full of politics and diplomacy, but because the topics are related with Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, it is therefore adored all over the world. There is no need to eradicate politics, economics, sociology, etc., which are mundane to the mundaners. To a pure devotee who is actually related with the Lord, such mundane things are transcendental if dovetailed with the Lord or with his pure devotees. We have heard and talked about the activities of the Pandavas, and we now are dealing with the topics of Maharaj Parīkṣit, but because all these topics are related to the Lord Sri Krishna, they are all transcendental, and pure devotees have great interest in hearing them. We have already discussed this matter in connection with the prayers of Bhismadev. Our duration of life is not very long, and there is no certainty of when we shall be ordered to leave everything for the next stage. Thus, it is our duty to see that not a moment of our life is wasted in topics which are not related with Lord Krishna. Any topic, however pleasant, is not worth hearing if it is devoid of its relation to Krishna. The spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavan, the eternal abode of Lord Krishna, is shaped like a whorl of a lotus flower. Even when the Lord descends to any one of the mundane planets, he does so by manifesting his own abode as it is. Thus, his feet remain always on the same big whorl of the lotus flower. His feet are also as beautiful as the lotus flower. Therefore, it is said that Lord Krishna has lotus feet. A living being is eternal by constitution. He is, so to speak, in the whirlpool of birth and death due to his contact with material energy. Freed from such material energy, a living entity is liberated and is eligible to return home, back to Godhead. Those who want to live forever without changing their material bodies should not waste valuable time with topics other than those relating to Lord Krishna and his devotees. Thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 7 on Wednesday, hopefully. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Niskam Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Shripad Bhakti Bhakti Vigyan Muni Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nimala Charya Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. All glories to Om Vishnupad Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. All glories to Arupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees ki jai. All glories to the worldwide devotees. Bhakti Vrinda ki jai. All glories to Navadvip Dham ki jai. Mayapur Dham ki jai. Nishingapali Dham ki jai. Ekachakra Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Giri Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham ki jai. Sham Kund Radha Kund ki jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi ki jai. Nitai Gora Hari 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 Bol. Dhanyavad Pranam.